What's up? It's another episode of Release Rotation coming your way. I'm your host, John W. Snyder. It is Monday, May 27th, a little after 10 as I record this, 10 p.m., because that's when I get to do these. After the family's asleep, I get to do some fun stuff on the side, meaning not my normal job. And so this is my creative outlet. If you haven't been listening, this is something I've wanted to do for a while, and this last year I finally pulled the trigger and started a podcast that I do hope gets better, obviously. But I'm hoping for more interviews. Not more, but, well, I guess it'd be more. Anything's more than zero, so if I do one, that's more. Because I haven't done one yet. And so I can't wait to do some interviews this year once I get some more microphones. And early on I said once I hit 10,000 listens is when I would buy some new gear. And right now I'm close to 7,000 listens. So we'll see. I'm hoping to get there sooner than later, so I can buy a little bit more equipment to do some interviews. But if you do listen, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know who some of you are because I work with you or I'm related to you. That's typically it. Or you're some of my really good friends who support me as we support each other, because that's what good friends do, right? Today in the United States is what is known as Memorial Day. And this is the day that we remember and honor the people who have died serving in the United States Armed Forces. And just looking at social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I am friends with or follow a lot of people who had family members they lost in while they were serving. And it's really sombering when I started looking at that and thinking about it. And I didn't realize I knew that many people who had lost somebody while serving. So, that's what today is about. And man, those people, we just can't say enough about them. And it's just really hard to think about when you think about the lives that have been lost while making our country better. And so to those families out there, if you're listening, I'm sure, I know you have to be so proud of those family members that you lost while they were serving. And also heartbroken. It's not an easy thing to think about or talk about, but that is what it is, and that's what Memorial Day is for. But just looking at Memorial Day and thinking about it, it got me thinking about my relatives who served, and especially both of my grandpas, my grandpa Chappell and my grandpa Snyder. They both served our country, but they made it home and raised families, made careers, and married amazing women who supported them. And it just got me thinking, though, when we think about Memorial Day and just any of these days when we think about people we've lost. And I am so thankful that I knew my grandparents for as long as I did. My grandpa Snyder, he passed away in 2000. I was 20, and that was my first grandparent that passed away. And then my other grandpa passed away, who we call Bubby, in 2007. So I had 27 years with him, and then Both of my grandmas passed away in the last 4 years. And so I got a lot of time with my grandmas for sure, uh, and both of my grandpas for that matter. I mean, my grandpa Snyder, even though I was only 20 when he passed away, he lived 4 blocks from the house I grew up in Edmond, Oklahoma. And I'm talking about my grandparents today because it just being Memorial Day and them serving, and it got me thinking of just the time that has passed between um, when they left us and the time that we had with them. It's really hard to think about my grandpa Snyder, who next year he will have been gone 20 years and I'll be 40. So it's half my life. It's just insane to think about. Um, but I know you may or may not know my grandparents, and that's fine, but they were amazing people. Um, both of my grandpas who served, my grandpa Snyder had to come home. He had shrapnel buried into his leg in World War II, and they actually thought he was going to lose his leg. He was in the hospital for a year. I mean, this was the 1940s. So who knows what kind of treatment and medication they were giving him. But they saved his leg. But it's just amazing to think about the stories that they have and the stories they've told. And you guys out there listening, you all have people in your family who have served. I mean, I feel like there's not one person who hasn't had somebody in their family serve. And it just means so much. But I also talk about this because when you get down to it, life is short in a lot of ways. And we don't know, we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised 10 years. Who knows? And I say that because there's probably people in your life, and I say this for myself too, there's people in my life that I haven't talked to in years. And this was just kind of, today just made me think, and kind of a wake up call in some ways, that there's some relationships and friendships that I've let go to the side, that I haven't, talked to these people in a really long time. And there are people who at some point in my life were really close to me and knew a lot about me, especially my college roommates during that time, who knew more about me than anyone else. And, it got me thinking, like, there's people I need to reach out to. There's people I need to call that I haven't talked to in a long time. And I say this because there's people that I'm sure you have not talked to in a while, that you need to pick up the phone and call, or you just need to send a text, or even an email, whatever it might be. For me, it's mainly friends that I've lost touch with. We text every once in a while, but there's some that I for sure haven't seen in years and maybe decades. But there are definitely some that I need to talk to on the phone and I haven't. And if you're listening to this, you probably know who you are. And, I know it's a two-way street. I know that person on the other end could also pick up the phone. And that's fine. I think just with the way it is in 2019, that a lot of the things we do is just over text or direct messages in some social media app or in comments. But is that the same? Probably not. You can't really get to the bottom of things and talk about things over text as well as you can in person or over the phone. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about today. I know I kind of went in a roundabout way to get to this, talking about Memorial Day and, my grandparents and, now to this. And so I guarantee you, if you're listening to this, there's at least one person that you need to reach out to. You need to call. And I know right now my mom's saying, yeah, you need to call me. And I know that, Mom. I'll give you a call. But there's probably some other people that you haven't talked to in a really long time that you need to call. And so, you know what? I'm going to give you that perfect opportunity right now. We're going to take a break. And then when we come back, I got some sports stuff. And if you do listen to this, you're probably confused because usually I do sports and then I have a break and then I talk about life. But I wanted to flip it for this podcast. So we're going to take a break. Go send a text. Go make a phone call to somebody you need to reach out to, somebody you need to talk to. Because I guarantee you there is somebody out there. And, I've talked about regrets. And so I don't want there to be any regrets because you didn't reach out to that person. And I'm saying this, speaking to you, but this is as much for me as it is anyone else. That's why I talk about the things I talk about, because when it gets down to it, and I like to talk about the story behind the story, this is for me as much as it is for anyone else. So let's take a break, go make that phone call, send that text. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so I hope you paused my podcast, this episode, and I hope you sent out a text or made a phone call or something and reached out to someone that you haven't reached out to in a really long time. And if you did do that and I know you, let me know. Send me a text. Let me know on social media or call me and let me know that you did that, because I bet some cool stuff comes out of it. NBA playoffs. We are to the finals this week, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. The Raptors and the Warriors face off. And I'm not sure this series goes more than 5 games. I picked the Bucks to win it all. And here we are. The Bucks got beat after being up 2-0 against the Raptors. They then lost 4 straight because apparently nobody in Milwaukee knows how to make any types of adjustments. Whereas the Raptors did. And guess what? The Raptors won. I don't get these coaches who don't make adjustments. At least the noticeable ones, I feel maybe they made adjustments in Milwaukee. Maybe the Bucks made adjustments, but sure didn't seem like it. Because that was a ugly beatdown after being up 2-0. I was feeling good about my Bucks prediction. And then the Raptors did something, changed something, mixed it up, and they're in the finals, which is pretty cool that a Canadian team is in the finals. And if you watch those games and pay attention, those fans up there love their team. They love the Raptors. So pretty cool for them. The Warriors, Golden State fans, they're just like, whatever. This is normal. We do this all the time. Who knows? Things could definitely work out differently in the finals, but I just don't see how the Warriors can lose, especially after what they did to Houston and Portland without Kevin Durant and Boogie Cousins. I mean, Boogie's been out for a long time, but Kevin Durant getting hurt in the Houston series and then missing the last game there and then missing the entire series against Portland. They didn't need him, but here we are, the Warriors in the finals for the 5th straight year, and they're going up against the Raptors. My heart says Raptors, but my brain definitely says Warriors. And if I was a betting man, I would bet on the Warriors winning the series, just like probably everyone else, unless you're a Raptors fan. If you're betting money, you're going to bet on the Warriors. But I would love to see the Raptors pull this off somehow and upset the Warriors. It'd be great. It'd be great for basketball, that's for sure. What's that do for Kawhi? I mean, insane that he's where he's at now. Not just at the Raptors, but in the NBA Finals. And is he going to even stay there? I mean, if he wins it and then still bails, that's pretty funny. Or if he doesn't win it and stays, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Kawhi Leonard after the season. But game 1 is Thursday night. And I'm going to go with the Warriors in, oh, man, I want to say 5, but that seems, I'm going to say Warriors in 6. Let's go Warriors in 6. Speaking of playoffs, NHL playoffs, still going on. I know there's a couple of NHL fans that listen to this. So here's your NHL kick that I hit you with about once a month, which is basically once every 4 episodes I might talk about hockey. The Bruins, the Boston Bruins, the St. Louis Blues met tonight on the ice for game 1, and Boston won that. It's a decent game. I watched the end of the third period. Basically, Boston was up 3-2, and then scored again, went up 4-2. And I didn't see, it was with a minute and a half left. I don't honestly know if it was an open netter or not, because I was in the process of putting our oldest kid down for bed. So I don't know if it was an open net. I'm going to guess it was with a minute and a half left. Maybe not, but I'm going to say that. It's probably a good guess, right? Right, Mike? So game 1, Bruins up 1-0. So we'll see what happens there. And I think both those teams have pretty similar records, which is just like the NBA Finals too. Both the NBA teams have very close to the same records. So should be fun for both sports. And then after that, after basketball and hockey, you've got the dog days of summer, right? We've got baseball. That just means football's closer. So that's a good thing. So real quick, though, I want to brag on my Oklahoma State Cowboys and Cowgirls. Oklahoma State baseball wins the Big 12 championship, the tournament. They get a 9 seed in the NCAA tournament. They play in Oklahoma City. So huge week for baseball, Oklahoma State baseball. And then Oklahoma State softball upsets the defending national champs, Florida State. At Florida State, takes 2 out of 3 games this last week to go to the World Series, which is in Oklahoma City. And the University of Oklahoma Sooners will also be there for what I think is their 4th straight World Series in softball. So Cowboys baseball is hot right now. Cowgirls softball, they're cooking, playing in the World Series. And then we have golf. Oklahoma State last year won the NCAA tournament. And, I mean, if they get beat this year, it's going to be an upset. Because they just won the stroke play, 72 holes, by 31 strokes. They were negative 16, while the next team was 15 over. Insane what they did this week in Arkansas. And Matt Wolff, he won the individual championship. So Matt Wolff was the 9th individual national championship golfer for Oklahoma State. So amazing. The last one was in 2006, I believe. So pretty crazy what Oklahoma State athletics are doing. But the fact that in stroke play, Oklahoma State won by 31 strokes, that's insane. They're 31 strokes ahead of the second place team. What's crazier, though, is that's not the most in NCAA golf history. The most was the 1975 Wake Forest team, who went on to win the national championship, but they won the stroke play by 33 strokes in 72 holes. So Oklahoma State almost did it, which you would think 31 strokes would be a record. But I guess Wake Forest had something else going on in 1975. That team was led by Jay Haas and Curtis Strange, so two golfers who have fared pretty well in the PGA and then the Champions Tour, the Senior Tour as they get a little older. But that's an incredible stat and feat 1975, we're coming up on a 45-year-old record, 44-year-old record that hasn't been topped, and you would have thought 31 strokes would have topped it, and it did not. So that's my little bragging for Oklahoma State. And I know OU fans are going to say, who cares? It's not football. That's fine. That's fine. Let us have our time. Let us have our day, So we'll see what happens, though. But, all those teams are really catching fire at the right time. Oklahoma State golf has been unbelievable all year. Baseball's been decent. Softball's been really good. But they definitely heated up here in the last few weeks to get where they are. So I obviously will be cheering for Oklahoma State this week and on several sports, which is pretty fun. It's not football or basketball, but that's okay. Baseball's fun. Softball's fun. Golf is great. So here's to the Cowboys, and here's to winning some more national championships in the next couple weeks. This is Release Rotation. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. I'm out.